And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault all alone on the Legacy Leadership Radio Show. We are going to have some fun today. We've got two of my favorite, most longtime friends on the planet in network marketing and outside of network marketing with me today. We were just talking about when we met, and we met many years ago when I fell in love with Garrett because he told the most inappropriate joke in front of thousands of people at a company called One World Online many years ago. We're not going to give you any clue of the joke, but I was rolling in the aisle. I fell in love with him, and he did not fall in love with me. In that same amount of time, he fell in love with Sylvia.
Yes,
and the whole thing happened, and I'm like responsible for it. So I'm very good about that. I hope you're all with us. I hope you're all on fire. It is going to be a great show. There is so much to talk about going on from the past all the way to the current minute, and we're going to talk about it. How are you, Sylvia?
I am great, Tom. It's so good to be on. It's been a while.
Oh my gosh, it's been far too long. And you know, you're everywhere. I see you know, on the ANMP, you're in the background, on the board calls, you're in the background. You are the absolute machine. I just got off the phone with Armand. He goes, yeah, Garrett's okay, but that Sylvia is a machine, and it is awesome. And you guys are, you know, somebody, I've said this many times over the years, somebody gets in the foxhole with you and Garrett, they get literally 48 hours a day, which is unbelievable because you two are a team like I've never seen before of driven people that turned Liam into the same thing, your little boy. He wasn't even a twinkle in your eye when I met you. And so I'm so happy to have you on the show. Hello, Garrett. How are you, buddy?
Well, first of all, the waters run deep with us. And I feel blessed, to be with Sylvia. In fact, I remember when my dad and mom first met Sylvia, my dad said to Sylvia, I didn't believe Garrett would ever meet anyone. I said, Dad, way to go.
Thanks, Pop.
Thanks, Pop. Exactly.
I'm not quite sure what that meant at the time.
I remember it well. It's like one of those moments you go, oh my gosh, it's all going to be ruined right now. What's he going to follow up with next? But you're right. When it's like with you and Denise, when you have that right person there, it just works for you guys. It doesn't need to work for anyone else. You're the right people for one another, the right people to raise your kids and do the things that you get to do together. And it really is a privilege. And I feel super blessed. So thank you very much for sharing that. And missing that Adrian's not going to be here, but you were saying he's off picking up Hugo, who is rock climbing.
That's his excuse, but he's really recusing himself. He doesn't want to come on because obviously Now Site's a big sponsor of the ANMP and all that stuff, and he doesn't want to taint the conversation with agenda, which I have to disrespect. But yeah, we would have done it. But anyway, no, I don't have any idea why he's not here, but he is. He and I, Denise is in New York City doing all kinds of ritzy stuff. So we are tasked with the dog and the little boy, and they're about ready to kill us all. So it's been fun, but you know what? We don't need Adrian. I go a long way back with you. I want to talk about the past. I want to talk about the present, and I especially want to talk about the future. And we met at a company called One World Online, which isn't here before. We fell in love with each other and really did a lot of business with a company called Accelerate and Bozzi, which isn't here anymore. And the reason I'm emphasizing that, as I thought about the beginning of the show, is we all join companies.
Yep.
We all join companies. But what lives on is normally not the companies, if you look at the statistics, but the relationships. And that's what I built my career on. That's what you built your career on. And that's all we really have. And everybody else that thinks it's anything beyond that is really not getting it. You have got to fall in love with your leaders, with your customers, and your teams, right, you guys?
Yeah.
It's the friendships.
It is.
It really is. And when you mentioned Adrian as well, I was just thinking, and then here's Liam. I mean, you know exactly what that's like, Tom. The people that you surround yourself with and that you get to work with every day and learn from and get mentorship from and just become part of your life. man, you don't know what's going to happen a generation on, like with your Adrian and all the amazing things he's doing. And then we're starting to see Liam just really pick up the ball. I mean, man, the kid is the household CTO. I mean, he's not a kid anymore, he's 18, but I mean, it's just incredible what network marketing and this industry can bring to your life and to your family and to your, like you said, legacy
And
leadership.
Look how blessed you are. I mean this, working together with Adrian. I mean, think about this. It was interesting that, you mentioned I met Kelly Thayer at the last DSU, and he saw Liam and he said, "Oh my gosh, it's such a blessing that you have the opportunity to work with your son." We were talking about you because I was there as well. We're talking about, Tom's working together with Adrian, and people talk about it's a blessing to have your kids even want to hang out with you, even to talk to you. Like you always talk about creating a grandkid trap.
Yeah.
And, the other thing is it's about people, like you mentioned also, Doug Ridley. So interesting when you mentioned Doug Ridley happened to be working with the Sheffield group. And when we were doing our research to join a company, with not getting into that, Doug happened to be with that company. And both Mike Sheffield and Doug Ridley were people that spoke up randomly for us with one of the companies that we were looking at and said, "Hey, the information they're looking for, we feel comfortable you should share with them because they're not going to join if they don't see that." And I think about all of those people. Imagine if you burnt bridges. Imagine if you weren't a good finder. Does that make sense? Looking to find good in people. Imagine if you spent your time constantly trying to throw shade or find an angle or find the wedge to put in somebody's belief system. Imagine if that's how you lived your life. When you have a long career like we've had, Tom, together as friends, over time you'll upset enough people that there's not going to be enough people cheering for you. It's going to be difficult for you to grow and have an influence on a profession. I really love the fact that with you, you always say, run to the middle of the room and tell the truth as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And if we have a problem with one another, let's deal with it, because too often relationships get influenced by what's not said rather than what is said. And I love that about you, Tom. And I mean that with the utmost respect. You're an incredible human being, and we don't always agree on everything, but we always agree that we will at least have an honest, real, vulnerable conversation about it and bring the best of ourselves to the conversation.
And being on the board of the ANMP, there's so many moving parts to that, and there's so much politics, and there's so much drama in the profession, not so much on the board, but you're bound to have conflict. And you and I even talk about books that we have to read in order to be able to have conflict powerfully instead of upset. And I just wish the owners of these companies would pick up that same thought process, that they can understand. And what happened way back when we really joined at the hip, we both did the Landmark Forum, all three of us, and plugged into that unbelievable magic trick of ultimate communication too. And it's given us our life. And look what you've gone on to do. I did not have any idea that you've been the president of the ANMP since 2012. I said, that's not possible. I told Michelle she was wrong. But you and Sylvia, the co-presidents, you're like, now you're the co-editors in chief over at Business for Home. You guys are the co-presidents of the ANMP. Make no mistake out there. And I'm not sure which one's on top of that pile.
But it's good to be part of a great team. That's for sure.
You truly are.
But Tom, it's about, I really feel like, as you said it before, if we literally got our start because of Rod and Marcy Cook, and you invited us to go to an event, which was in Las Vegas. I still remember to this day, to be on the board. And one of the things you said, the most important thing is that you have a heart for network marketing. And that's what I feel like is very true about you. Yes, it's our chosen profession, but our heart is, this is a redemptive profession. I love the fact that you and I both say that this profession is one of the best places for us to land and be ourselves, and for other people to do the same. And I feel like that's what we want to protect and promote, so it's there for other people. We're not saying it's the only way, but for us, it was a great option in a great way.
And what's so beautiful about that is, and you can look at the board and you can look at how it's evolved. And when I got involved with it many, many years ago with Rod and Marcy, it was a ragtag group of misfits. And we have the convention, and the attendance was us, the board. That was the whole convention. And you guys came along and you just kept upgrading the conversation, upgrading the board. And now we've got a board that is so ethical and so top flight. You look at Donna Johnson, you look at the people on there, her ethics committee with Dan McCormick, and these people that are a stand for doing the next right thing and telling the truth as fast as they can and protecting the whole, even at the expense of others. Somebody's making a mistake out there, we might really have to course correct them. It is beautiful to see what we've come into and what 2025 is going to be like in August down in Dallas, because this is going to be an ANMP convention like no one's ever seen before because of the level of people that you've brought to the party.
Well, you're being really kind, but I remember a story. You probably don't even remember this. So I happened to be with Sylvia and Liam. We went to an event in Utah, and the person that invited us to be there was Keith and Heather Holtz. But the reason we were there was because Orrin Hatch was actually the sponsor and had organized the event. Senator Orrin Hatch, may he rest in peace. And we met Senator Orrin Hatch. And Tom, it's interesting, he knew about Rod Cook. And he told us a really nice story. I want to share it here because sometimes we forget we stand on the shoulders of giants. People make a big difference. Senator Orrin Hatch said that they were struggling with bringing the field on board to participate and reach out and add their name to a list to help support a challenge they were having with the Deshay laws. In other words, remember that whole thing around nutrition? And he said, this is Orrin Hatch saying to us, he looked at Sylvia and I, and he said, and Keith, and he said, you know what? Rod Cook probably single-handedly, with the email list that they had at that time with that association, probably moved the needle the most, because he said two things. Companies were afraid to send out information to their distributors about it because they didn't want to be associated with being kind of like, activists on this point. So they kind of tentative, has no power. They stayed in the background. But Rod Cook picked up the banner and said, we're going to be loud about this. We're going to be specific about this. And he put a campaign out there and brought every resource that he had to get that information out there. And Senator Orrin Hatch took the time to shake her hands and say that the person that he felt, or one of the people or organizations he felt that made the biggest difference at that time with that campaign was the Distributor Rights Association and Rod and Marcy Cook and the team that was there at that point in time. So how beautiful stuff.
I try to reach Marcy all the time, and I get word once in a while because her son, Tom Sonderman, the lady that's taking care of Marcy, can never tell us apart. So she sends me a message. So I get an update. And Lisa Cito, about, you guys know her. She just called me a couple of days ago trying to find Marcy. Marcy's in assisted living down in San Antonio, to my knowledge. She might have moved down with her son, Tom, who is unbelievably successful down in Florida. But those two changed the world. And I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart bringing that up, because they were the glue that held the whole thing together. And we could spend a day talking about the people that have been on the board and the crazy stuff that happened, from Zeke Rewards to Peter Mingles and all these wonderful people that I still talk to and I still love, because you know what? Relationships are everything. And that's what we got to get across today. Because you guys are, talking about email lists. There's no bigger email list on the planet than the email list behind MLM. And what you guys did with Armand was a stroke of genius, because you acquired a list that has got so much organic growth and so much power done right. And you guys are going to do it right. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, business for home. So I will say this, Tom. I mean, I was super reluctant about the whole thing, to be honest. Not that I had any feelings either way. It was just, didn't know if it was the right time in our lives to do something else. And there was a lot of interest in business for home. And because, as we know now, but it wasn't very public at the time, Ted and Deanie had some health challenges they were dealing with, and they were kind of pulled back a little bit. And they wanted to have it in new hands. And they didn't disclose to us who they were selling it to. So I want to make sure that no one in any way thinks this is pointed at any one person, that there was a handful of people. But they said, hey, we'd rather it not be in Dubai. In other words, that the person that bought it was, yes, you're clapping because you're going, it's bad enough. In the Netherlands, it might not do too well in Dubai. And I was laughing because Ted's got a quirky sense of humor. He's a little bit, as he says, on the Asperger spectrum, but he's one of the nicest people, and he does have a quirky sense of humor.
The good news is I sold it. Bad news is I sold it to Mike Sims. No offense, Mike. That wasn't a judgment. That was just a joke.
Exactly. Wow. And that was the other thing he said, they didn't want to do cryptocurrency. And he said, no, and I'm not trying to make, please don't hear this as shade to cryptocurrency, something like that. This was just, he wanted something less, hey, Richard Brooke, less complicated than all that. He didn't want a big investment group that, that weren't disclosed who are part of the group. And he wanted it to be a traditional contract and be registered in traditional ways. And he also wanted to go through traditional banking. And he said, I'm not saying that any one person wanted to circumvent all those things, but there was all kinds of combinations there. And as you know, Armand was the type of person, you were the one that said it, Tom, he's able to buy it with pocket change. You made that comment. So I think that just made all kinds of sense. But he said, I'll buy it if you guys will guide us. And Sylvia and I said, we would like to guide it, but we can't run it. You have a full team out there in the Netherlands. We don't have the time to do that. As we brought on board Keith to be part of that. So they do have a full team that's running it. But like you said, they kind of had pulled back a little bit.
And Armand Pujol, for those who don't know or just tuning in, I mean, he has a big vision and heart for this industry and this profession. Yes. And the difference it's made in ordinary people's lives, in people that have come up from nothing or something, but that have been able to put in place the type of life that people really want, which is about freedom of choice, to be able to live the life you want, to raise your family the way you want, to, be able to have thank you, Michelle, to be able to have just the type of life that you feel is right for you and your family. And as you mentioned earlier, Tom, we have had the blessings of that when our parents and when our kids were going through some awful stuff, being able to have that regular repeat income still coming in, to be able to have, some leverage in your life, to be able to go, hey, I could maybe create a legacy for my family. That's what we're all here for. And I really and truly believe that's where Armand Pujol's heart is, and what we are, I think, blessed to be able to, have some influence in, and being able to just do the best that we can to just, keep guiding what has really become, this what we're all talking about here today.
It's a full circle moment. I just thought about this. Dave Grimaldi, who is the new CEO of the DSA, just sent out an email today. And this is what made me think about Senator Orrin Hatch and thinking about Rod Cook, because I also have been in communication with them. We're meeting with the DS. Saw him at the social selling channel.org event that Jonathan Gilliam put on. He was with Danny Lee, who was the previous chair of the DSA. And we were chatting over there, and he said, hey, let's connect. And he said, we do need to have a field representation. We need a grassroots, we need access to the grassroots. And you just mentioned this, is what to bring it full circle. We were talking about, because Jonathan said you probably have one of those now that you're the co-editor-in-chief of, Business for Home. Can we put together a campaign that can help with that? And you are right. It's a 17-year-old website. So one of the things, you were on the last board call. It was interesting. We were talking about business for home, and people were saying, "Oh yeah, I go there at least once every 2 weeks." And some people say, "Well, I go there once a week." And some people go, "I go there once a month." And some people are saying, "I go one there every few days." It's a habit we've developed in network marketing. It's a way, if we want to know what's going on in network marketing, we go there. It does have hundreds of thousands of people on the email list. It does have tens of thousands of people that are on their what they call preferred recommended leaders list. They also have another list of people as well. So they have over 650,000 people have downloaded the app. So there's no doubt it's got a big organic reach. And I feel like we can work together to share information because, big thing that Armand kept saying, the grassroots feel. We want to make sure that the grassroots, the new people, because the future of our profession, the new people being attracted into it, have a voice. And that's such a big thing today because, Tom, you and I talked about this before. It's like landmark communication. When do you feel vulnerable? You feel incredibly vulnerable when you don't have a voice. In fact, Dave Grimaldi and also the person that was the attorneys general for Utah when we were at the directsellingchannel.org summit said, if you're not at the table, if you don't have a seat at the table, you've got to be careful because you might be on the menu. And the challenge is people feel very vulnerable if they're not at the table. If you're, in other words, you feel vulnerable, and when you don't have a voice, things get very volatile. And we need to settle, like you just talked about, what can we do to give people more of a voice, democratize it? I mean, democracy is messy, but there's no probably better way to lead than giving people a voice. And that's a big part of what Business for Home can do and will do. And, we're only just getting started, my friend. Yeah. We're getting our feet on the table.
Like this week.
I know, but you got to believe in God here. And here's the deal.
We do.
I know. I'm kidding. I wasn't saying you. I know you do. Here's the deal. All this crazy stuff's going on with Rodan and Fields. All this stuff's going on with Beachbody. All this stuff. And, you got the FTC and all these people that really do take shots at us a lot. And we've never been united in any way. And we've been a little DRA, which was basically pea shooters against howitzers. And here we are, out of the sky blue. Ted finally decides to sell that thing to somebody, and he sells it to somebody of unbelievable integrity called Armand with you and Sylvia and Keith Halls. We have got an association now that people can join. We've got a newsletter now that people can join, that we can unite and literally have a voice. I'm not going to say fight back because I don't like the word fight. Maybe love back. And at the end of the day, not act like those politicians, but act like these people that are trying to embrace anything and everybody good. And that's what it's going to be all about. And that's why we want everybody to be part of that, part of the ANMP, and part of this convention that's coming up in August, because the price of poker has dramatically gone up. And yes, NowSite is a major sponsor there. Armand's a major sponsor there. Major sponsors are knocking on the door saying, we want to be major sponsors, because the mouse is finally going to roar. And talk about that a little bit.
You want to talk about that, Sylvia?
Sure. Sorry, I was just, we're going to have a website very, very soon. I'm looking at reviewing right now what the web development team, it's in staging right now. So just got to take a look and make sure everything works and everything's spelled right and all the things. So that is almost there. But right now, today, make sure that Ron Henley, we love you.
Yes.
Make sure that you mark your calendar. And Ron Handley, you are outstanding and love what you're doing.
The archivist.
The archivist, keeping the history alive.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, August the 14th through the 17th, that's the Thursday night through the Sunday morning. It's that weekend. It's in Dallas. It's at the Westin, the same place that we did last year, which everybody loved. We did it there for the first time last year. And it was incredible because it's right there at the Galleria Dallas Galleria Mall. So you can go, you can take, your team, you could have a team dinner separately. You could do, whatever you want there. There's ice skating. It's just an incredible facility. We will be packed to the rafters in August. It's going to be incredible. So that's one thing. Make sure you have that weekend free and put it in your Outlook, your Gmail, whatever you do, put that in your calendar right now because you're going to want to be there. So that's one thing. And then we will let you know probably on Business for Home. Once that website is up, we will send out a press release that the website's out. Doug, yes. When are we going to be? You're going to be able to buy also at a discount like you have been able to for years before. If you have a team that's going to go, or you're thinking, hey, I want to get together with people there and we could sort of pool this and save on our tickets. Yes, you will be able to buy the 10 packs of tickets and the hotel room. Again, Weston is a really nice hotel. We got it for $149. You can't stay at a Weston for $149. So we have all of that done. It's all ready to go. You could even get in the room block right now. I think you could, if you go to ANMPhotel.com, that room block is already live. I just need to make sure it's all hooked up to our proper website. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. And I do think, I just saw, Richard's comment, will they merge? Well, they're two different things. Will we be able to, send out a press release about, like I said, about, hey, the ANMP convention tickets are available for you now? Yes, we'll be able to do that kind of thing. There is, I think, a natural sort of, they're both serving the industry. They're both serving with from a grassroots point of view. It's not through the companies. It's not like the DSA where you can't be a DSA member if you're a distributor. You have to be a company, and then it's through the company. This is the ANMP is the one where it's directly through you as your own business, as a distributor. You get to participate and have a voice. And Business for Home has also been, historically always focused on what is exciting and important and newsworthy to distributors. But we're just getting started there. This is really our first week, isn't it, Garrett, to even start looking at things, getting some of the, taking a look at some of the feedback and input and things that people have been saying, hey, what can we do to up level, or what would you like to see, or some of the things that would add more value to people in the profession that are, I think, going to be really helpful there. So, hi, Shirley.
Yeah, the name of the game is understanding that is a big, big operation, and all the income claims and all the stuff that Ted wouldn't pull down, even though people wanted it down, it created clicks. And so he didn't let that happen. These guys are not in that game. They're going to try to give us the most accurate news out there possible. And will mistakes be made? For sure. Will companies that they highlight go out of business? I never saw Advocare happening. I never saw Vima happening. I never saw I never saw Beachbody or Rodan and Fields. And I know there's all the internet pontificators that say, I knew it the whole time. Yeah, those are the guys with no paychecks that are standing on the edge of the lake, watching all of us out in the middle drown. And as soon as we drown, they say, I told you so. I'm glad I didn't get in the water. They can go themselves. I don't care about them. But I do care about the fact that no one is judging Garrett and Sylvia or Armand or Keith. And if you are, I have one solution for you. If you don't like what they're doing, join the board of the ANMP or contact them and tell them you want to be on the board of Business for Home and get in the water with them instead of watching them swim. That is my answer to you. So that fair, Garrett?
And that is one of the things, right, that we're talking about that we're going to be doing is having people be able to give us that input. I know you want to say something about that, Garrett.
So let me go back. So, it's a really great question that was asked by Richard. There is a connection between the connective tissue because it is that whole grassroots organization is what's really important, that we stay close to that voice. And one of the things that, Tom, that you like to talk about is so many people are talking about yesterday's press clippings, and we really need to promote and advocate the fresh voices, the new voice, but it needs to be a blend.
Yeah.
There is legacy leadership, like we're talking about here on this call. There's mid-tier leadership, but there's also grassroots and new rising stars as well. And it's easy to get caught in a clique where you're only hearing from one voice or one sphere of people. One thing that Business for Home definitely does do is gives us an opportunity to have a wider, broader race conversation, and it can bring to the table multiple things. Number one is a new group of rising star leaders who have been reaching out and saying, because they know Tom Chenault, we're associate all of us with the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. They know about the event and they're going, how do we participate? And that is it's creating this new conversation that we didn't have before. So I believe what's going to happen is new talent, Tom, that was going to get highlighted that otherwise we would not have been aware of, because it's just not in your sphere. There's only so many people. The second one is topics. It's been interesting how many grassroots communications have been coming into both the ANMP and Business for Home saying, we would love if you would cover these topics. And oh my gosh, I never thought about that topic, or that would be a great panel. It's another way of crowdsourcing and ensuring that we're actually offering to people what it is that people are looking for, not assuming that they know, but actually knowing that they know. The other one that you said, I think it's a great point you make, transparency. We are going to up-level the transparency and how we do that, because I do think that the challenge is people do want to know, is the information that's on the website good? How can I make a decision around that? Can you give me another level of insight into how that number was arrived at? How did they verify that? And we're actually going through that process, Tom. You'll see within a week a whole new, what we call get verified process that will be out there. So again, it's important
for companies
and
then also for top distributors.
And
if you want to be part of that, top earner type ranking.
But it's also making sure that we do it in an orderly fashion too, like you said. So we want to make sure that there's good information on there, that people understand what's on there. They've got at least a good level of transparency into it. And we're only just getting our feet on the table. I think the power, and I mean that in terms of, is the conversation. Too much broadcasting and not enough listening. One thing that Business for Home is a really great listening tool is to put a conversation out there saying, what do you all think? Give us feedback. And you'll see that both publicly, sometimes in the post itself, and also, why is the important right to promote incomes verified or not? It's a great question.
Yeah,
so
great question.
I don't think it's a great question. Why wouldn't you? No. Everybody here, if we look at all the stats from everybody, nobody makes money in network marketing. And when you've got the ability to put up a verified income of somebody that worked their ass off for 20 years to build something like you're always talking about, Brooke, over at Shackley or someplace else, and they did it for all these years with legacy income and nobody knows about it, so they all think it's a bunch of flim-flam, it's important. It's important to know this is a profession that takes a long time, that's hard work, that it's worth it. And if they can look at that website and know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is proven up with tax returns and everything else, all of a sudden there's credibility there. So yeah, I think it's super, super important.
And I would say this, I love the 4-year career. So think about this, guys. I think part of the challenge we have in network marketing today is that everybody would love at some point in time, if they could, build an asset. Because when a customer repeat purchases a product, it generates repeat income. And that repeat income is both immediate income, repeat income, you get leveraged income that over time you've developed a team of people doing that. So you a little bit get off that hamster wheel, you're only trading hours for dollars, which creates a potential new future for people. And then ultimately, if you can develop leadership skills, you want to know it's worth it. So it takes time to do it. So think about this. You got to see one to be one. So this is one of the most important things in life. So we don't need to hide out and say we don't have any income. What we need to show is that we have verifiable true income and that it took time. So if you look at the 4-year career as an example, what makes that work is you got to see one, in other words, to be one. And where that comes from is in leadership. It takes time to become a leader. So the reason that network marketing, or part of the reason, has gone so affiliate focused is people don't want to acknowledge or even share that this type of income is available. And faith is belief without evidence. It's the actually more challenging thing to do. Think about this. Faith is belief without evidence. What would be better is to lay out the evidence that's verified so people can look at that and go, hey, it's there. Why is that important? It takes time to develop those type of incomes. And anyone that tells you that it doesn't is not telling you the truth. I love one of the things that Richard said. If you could literally on a daily basis do the thing, which is share the product, share the opportunity, and you could do it consistently daily for 3 to 5 years or whatever that number looks like, most people will be able to develop some form of repeat income, gain some form potentially of leadership, or not leadership, leverage. And I think there's 3 things people need to see. They need to see the comp plan, they need to see the income disclosure statement from the company, and they need to see validation that those incomes are being created, not just from one company, but from multiple companies, because it's validation not for a company per se, but it's validation for an industry where people are trying to say it's not possible, that the only thing that you can have potentially is small income. And I want to finish with this point. Business for home is where a lot of people, like you, 4 to 7 years. I agree with that. 4 to 7 years to create 4 to 7 generation. I think that that's important.
So here's the crazy thing, you guys. And you take a look at how long this takes and how long it takes. And you stand inside of, can I do that?
Yeah.
And looking at people that did it, you say, I can do that. They're comparing, they're looking at me, a hot mess, and it worked out. And how did it work out? From being nice to people, staying consistent and not quitting. And you got these people jumping to company. There's a couple of women right now at a company, and now they're front page news because they're just loud and proud. But what people don't understand, there was a deal behind them getting started. And what makes me crazy is the deals behind. And if we can get that exposed, where it's okay to take a deal. I mean, it is not. I'm not allergic to that, with full disclosure. But when you're out there acting like you built this thing from the ground up with no help and no money from the company, it's a con, and it's not duplicatable, because if they don't do it for the whole team, they shouldn't have done it for you. And you shouldn't be standing on that stage saying you did it when you're asking your team to do it exactly the opposite way. Tell the truth as fast as you can, which is where we started today. One other thing I want to talk about, because Brooke is on here, is before the show I was talking about his incredible interview with Seth Godin, and it really talks about a lot of this stuff, a lot of integrity, a lot of the race to the bottom that most companies are doing right now. They want to lower the quality of the product, they want to lower the price, they want to lower the commissions, and they want to compete with all the bottom feeders. And Seth Godin says no. Maybe that was the interview with Tim Ferriss that I listened to them both. But I am telling you one thing right now, you guys, do not compromise. You are in an unbelievable profession that has a shot of you having a life that you would not believe. You do not have to take the low road. Reach up, right, Garrett?
Yeah, and I just want to say, it's just a resource. Like, one of the things I really feel very strongly about is we're going to create a community. And I feel very strongly that,
yes, Elaine,
when you say a race to the bottom, everything in this world today can be copied. Everything can be commoditized. But one of the most difficult things to commoditize is community, because the community requires real relationship, and it takes time. Like when Richard said, let's say 4 to 7 years to build down 4 to 7 generations of true leadership. Is it worth it? Yes, but it takes time. And it's not a straight shot. And it just gives people the opportunity to go, is it worth it? My while sticking with this? We want this to be a really great retention tool. So instead of, like you said, getting distracted by the shiny objects, they can have a good conversation and communication with their company, feel like they got a voice, and that they can create something that is worthwhile to them, and it's going to take time. And what are the skills that are necessary? And that's what we're going to do with the Association of Network Market Professionals. Say, you got a C1, a B1. Here's how people create immediate income, whether it's in person or online. Here's how you develop some leverage. In other words, so you can see some leverage. Here's how you can create some leadership and how you ultimately create legacy. We're going to show those stages and break it down and, demystify this and try and break it down into elements that people can look at and go, you know what? That looks like it might be worth it to me. I want to do this.
And I know that's one of the things that Armand has really been talking about. I want to show people it's possible, whether you call it the American dream or just the dream for your family. We want to show what's possible, but in a truthful way, as Elaine Linus just said, like telling it in a way that people get what it takes, but that it's worth it. And I mean, you talk about this all the time. I mean, Tom, you were talking about how,
Armand, it's worth it to me. It is worth it.
Yes, it is worth it. And I mean, Tom, you talk about this, Garrett, you talk about this, as somebody who grew up with a stutter and, dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, all the things that you can work hard, learn something like this, and you can be successful if you'll just keep at it and you'll keep working, you'll keep doing the things. And the things like Richard said, when you do it consistently over that period of time, you're going to have some success if you are consistent with it. And you keep, doing the things like you listen to the podcast, like Tom was just talking about, you keep developing yourself, you attend ANMP and you get what should I be learning in 2025? What are people wanting to know about? When you do these things, you can see that it's something that can happen for somebody like you, whoever that is for you, whether you're the ADHD kid or whether you're the stay-at-home mom or whether you're somebody who's brand new to this country or you're somebody who was living out of your car, literally. There are people that have done this. So why not you?
And and Tom, not to put too fine a point, but now side, think about this.
The work is worth it.
Yes. We talk about doing worthy work. And I mean, I love the way that Richard said that. We talk about all the time doing worthy work. Because think about what Nileside has done. I'm not trying to be a commercial, but I am talking about how we can come together and make things more accessible. We have, people that are more mature in years than perhaps even we are, who find they're learning social media. It's great that we've created tools that not only help people to kind of lower the bar or at least create a starting line for them that they feel like that they can go to, or support or guardrails around them that helps them to compete in that way. So it's fun to be able to do that. And this is what I think also anyone, even if you're not in network marketing, you want to learn about AI.
Yeah.
And a soft way to do that is with Nowside and in network marketing. You may never become a big income earner, but you may suddenly become comfortable with AI. You may become comfortable with maybe leading a little bit more than you've done in the past, or maybe comfortable with how to turn a group of people from a team into sort of like a community. And suddenly you're having opportunities in other areas of your life that you weren't having before. I believe, I'm a better husband. Like when I think about our son, I think about the things we've gone through. Tom, you were there for Sylvia and I. You were able to speak hard truths into our lives. I feel like mentorship from other people that on levels that people wouldn't normally get access to, that we learn lessons in network marketing that are translatable into so many other areas of our lives. We sometimes, familiarity breeds complacency. We forget and take for granted one of the biggest pieces. There's a lot of people that are lonely out there in the world today that are fearful about AI, that are fearful about the future. What if you just became more comfortable with AI, realizing you do have a group of people around you that actually care for you, that you develop some additional skills? Do you think that that's not going to serve you in the future? Of course it will, regardless of whatever else comes along with it. And most companies have got good products that when you consume the product, it's helping you on your health journey. And there's lots of ways to make good things happen. So thank you, Ron. I mean this. I want to say this. I love our profession's not perfect, but guys, I grew up in it. I came straight out of college into it. And I feel so blessed. I met my wife through it. I met Tom through it. I met Richard Brooke through it. I met Ron Hen. Everybody, Armand Poujold. I would say, like, think about this, Tom. Next week, we're going to the DSU. And then after DSU, my friend Claire Holbrook, who I met when I was 20 years of age, I'm 57 years of age now. So think about how long she's been friends. She married Wayne Holbrook, who I introduced to her because she was, I was in network marketing together. She introduced me to Sylvia. That's how I'm married. Like all my friends, I should say, majority of my friends are in network marketing. I've such a deep...
I reported to Claire and Wayne for a while.
Yes.
I mean, but there's so much value here. There's so many amazing people you're going to meet. If you're brand new to this, it's just keep your heart open, keep your mind open, just learn, be a sponge, and just create those relationships, add value to those relationships, because you never know, 5, 10, 20 years from now, you may be having these same conversations with people going, I can't believe it. Like we met then and I learned so much, and look at how it's helped us. Look at how it's helped my kids. Now I got grandkids, or whatever that is for you. And like you said, we're going to be meeting up with them at the end of DSU, and then
we'll meet Armand. He's going to be
Armand's going to be speaking there as well.
Adrian Chenault's going to be there.
They invited Adrian, not me.
But Richard Brooke, think about it. I mean, Richard Brooke and nearly all the DSUs, when our home burnt down, Richard's one of the first people to say, hey, I actually have a second home. If you all need someplace to live or transition to get to, some of the kindest, hardest people.
I don't want to one-up you, but when we got in a car wreck, Armand was going to send a jet to New Hampshire to get us.
Wow.
I mean, people are so kind and loving and great. And we talked earlier about believing in God. We are so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian's not here. This show would have been over 8 minutes ago. Hell with it. This is awesome. No one's getting fired. We're going to keep going. I've got to make a ham for my husband. I said, forget it. We're staying on. So this is awesome. And, I know all of you want to figure out how to do this business. And I think you have to follow the footprints of the people that are doing it versus the people that are telling you they're doing it, but really aren't. And when it's so great to have a platform where we can put the spotlight on the doers, not the posers. And that's our goal with everything we do. And we're going to continue that until the day we drop dead. And I love you, Garrett and Sylvia, and having you on this show is absolutely, you want a t-shirt. I know that Michelle got your sizes and your address. Armand, we need to send you one. And it's a great, great day having you people in my life. And I'm blessed. Thank you.
Well, you are
and
so
if you
kind.
have a triple XL for our giant Liam too.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Here's the deal. So WDT is Liam's nickname. I don't know if you guys know that because Sylvia alluded to him earlier because that kid is the web development team. So,
well, he's one member, but
it's so funny.
He's so good.
The guys, because
I'm not biased at all.
The team's all over there in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And they know, because we flew out there to meet with them, and Liam was part of that meeting. And it was a whole table of people. There's a whole floor of it's actually the whole building they own because they've been together for 17 years. So they kind of take extra special care of the Business for Home team. But Liam was going, my gosh, it's fun to see how cool and how plugged in these people are. And we get to do it like you do with Adrian. That's the point I'm trying to make.
We get to do it together.
With Armand, I mean, we love going to visit with Armand. Like you go to the games and the Ducks, and he goes, we get to go to these ice hockey games where you get to sit in his box, and he picks you up in his fantastic vehicle and going, yeah, you know what? Liam goes, I love
Vita to be down there on the ice
Yes.
and everything. I mean, how cool is that?
and
Keep getting preempted. Adrian's gets all that great stuff. You guys are getting all that great stuff. I'm sitting out here in Colorado. This is not good news. I am going to get mad. I got to get invited to some of this cool stuff. I love you guys. And
I just
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And thank you guys for being selfless leaders of this association for 12 years. It's just brings tears to my eyes because nobody else would have done it. And, you know, in fact, there was something else I wanted to talk about, and this is a perfect time to do it. Garrett and Sylvia have stepped in a couple of potholes over the years. I've stepped in 50. Most of the legends have stepped in potholes. Stuff has happened. And what happens then is all the supposed influencers pile on and convict them before they even got charged of this, that, or the other thing. Stop doing that. Love like crazy, then love more. The more you do, the more potholes you're going to step in, and people never shoot down. They're taking shots. And if we can collaborate at the top and give other leaders the benefit of the doubt, we all win. And you know who I'm talking about out there. God bless you guys for coming on. We'll leave it at that. Join the ANMP, come to the convention, get on the Business for Home website. We're dancing. Love you guys. Thank you.
God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Love
The
you.
privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Feel blessed to be here. Thank you. Blessings to serve.
Unbelievable.